And that, class, is why we're going on a field trip to an active volcano Volcano next week, Professor Lana Steele announced with a flourish, her eyes twinkling with unbridled enthusiasm as she gestured towards the holographic image of a churning lava lake projected in the center of the classroom. The silence that followed was so profound you could have heard a pin drop, or in this case, the sound of Gloop, a gelatinous student from the water world of Hydrus, anxiously rippling in his seat. Finally, Zixtal, an insectoid being with twitching antennae, broke the stunned quiet. Professor, forgive my audacity, but have you perhaps ingested some of Earth's more potent substances? Lana's grin only widened at the question. Oh, Zixtal. The only substance I'm high on is the thrill of scientific discovery, and maybe a little bit of adrenaline. Okay, a lot of adrenaline. The classroom, filled with a motley crew of alien species from across the galaxy, erupted into a cacophony of distressed clicks, whistles, and what sounded suspiciously like prayers to various cosmic deities. Gloop gurgled nervously. But Professor, won't we, melt? Lana rolled her eyes dramatically. Gloop, buddy, we've been over this. You're 90% water, not 90% easily meltable space jello. Besides, I've arranged for special protective suits for everyone. Even me, chirped Crick-Crack, an insectoid being whose exoskeleton looked about as flame-resistant as tissue paper. Especially you, my crispy little friend, Lana assured him with a wink. From the back of the room, a deep, rumbling voice that sounded like gravel in a blender spoke up. Professor Steele, while I admire your enthusiasm, I must question the wisdom of this endeavor. The voice belonged to Ambassador Zorn, a rock-like being from a high-gravity world who had enrolled in the class as part of a cultural exchange program. In reality, everyone knew he was there to keep an eye on the unpredictable human. Lana's grin only widened. Ah, Ambassador, I thought you of all people would appreciate a nice, toasty volcanic sauna. Think of it as a spa day for your mineral deposits. Zorn's craggy face somehow managed to look even more unamused. I failed to see how this aligns with our curriculum on safe xenobiology practices. Well, what better way to learn about safety than by doing something monumentally unsafe? Lana countered, her logic as twisted as the lava tubes they'd soon be exploring. A tentacled student named Squish raised 3 of its appendages. Professor? I've been researching human idioms, and I believe this falls under the category of when hell freezes over. Lana clapped her hands together. Excellent use of Earth vernacular, Squish. But in this case, it's more like when hell bubbles over and we're there to take samples. The collective groan that rippled through the classroom was almost palpable. Now, Lana continued, undeterred by the growing unrest, I know this might seem a tad extreme. A tad, Zixtal interjected, antennae now fully erect in alarm. But trust me, it's going to be an unforgettable learning experience. Lana finished, choosing to ignore the interruption. Ambassador Zorn shifted his massive bulk, causing nearby students to scoot their hover chairs away lest they be crushed. Professor Steele, perhaps it would be prudent to explain the, scientific merits of this excursion. Lana's eyes lit up like a kid in a candy store, or more accurately, like a volcanologist in an erupting caldera. I'm so glad you asked, Ambassador. You see, we're not just going for the view, though I must say, nothing beats the sight of molten rock founaining into the air. No, we're going to study the unique extremophile bacteria that thrive in the volcanic vents. Gloop burbled anxiously. Extremophiles. Yep, little microorganisms that love extreme conditions. Heat, acid, pressure, you name it, they dig it. And let me tell you, these bacteria are the ultimate survivors. They laugh in the face of conditions that would turn most life forms into crispy critters. Crick-Crack's mandibles clacked nervously. And why do we need to study them? Lana's grin turned slightly maniacal. Because, my dear students, understanding how life adapts to extreme environments is key to unlocking the secrets of life itself. Plus, think of the applications. Medicines that can withstand intense heat, materials that resist corrosion, maybe even new sources of energy. The class fell silent, a mix of terror and reluctant fascination spreading across their alien features. Besides, Lana added with a wink, how else am I going to get you all to appreciate the finer points of Earth cuisine? After a day near lava flows, even the spiciest Earth pepper will seem tame. Zixtal's antennae drooped. Is it too late to transfer to the underwater basket weaving in zero-gravity class? Lana chuckled. Sorry, Zixtal. That class filled up faster than a black hole swallows light. Now, who's ready for some volcanic adventure? The lack of enthusiasm was deafening. All right, Lana conceded. I can see you're all a bit apprehensive. How about this? We'll start with a virtual reality simulation of the volcano first. That way you can get a taste of what we're in for without the risk of, actual taste buds being burned off. This proposal was met with slightly less terrified murmurs, and she continued, sweetening the deal, for every student who makes it through the actual field trip without fleeing, fainting, or attempting to hijack our transport ship, I'll award bonus points on the final exam. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the room shifted. If there was one thing that united species across the galaxy, it was the allure of extra credit. Gloop's gelatinous form rippled with what might have been excitement. How many bonus points are we talking about, Professor? Lana tapped her chin thoughtfully. Let's say, enough to bump you up a full grade level. So if you're hovering at a B, this could rocket you to an A. The classroom erupted into excited chatter, fear momentarily forgotten in the face of academic opportunity. Ambassador Zorn rumbled skeptically, and what, pray tell, will be the nature of this virtual reality simulation? Lana's smile turned sly. Oh, nothing too intense. Just a little program I whipped up. It's got all the bells and whistles, realistic heat simulations, the thunderous roar of an eruption. Even the acrid smell of sulfur, just to get your feet wet, or rather, your feet metaphorically on fire. Crick-Crack's antennae twitched. Will it hurt? Only if you have an overactive imagination, Lana assured him, which did little to assuage anyone's concerns. As the class reluctantly filed out to the VR lab, Lana couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement. Sure, her methods might be unconventional, but by the time this experiment was over, these alien students would either have a newfound appreciation for the wonders of Earth's geology, or they'd be filing for interstellar trauma counseling. Either way, it was going to be one hell of a semester. The VR lab was a stark white room filled with individual pods, each designed to accommodate the varied physiologies of the alien students. Lana stood at the front, looking far too pleased with herself as she explained the basics of the simulation. All right, class. Each pod is equipped with haptic feedback systems, olfactory stimulators, and thermal regulators. You'll feel the heat, smell the sulfur, and experience the ground rumbling beneath your feet, or tentacles, or pseudopods, or whatever you've got. Gloop oozed nervously into his specially designed liquid-filled pod. Professor, I'm having second thoughts. What if I evaporate? Lana patted the side of Gloop's container. Relax, buddy. The worst that'll happen is you'll get a bit bubbly. Think of it as a jacuzzi experience. As each student settled into their pod, Lana couldn't help but add, oh, and a word of advice, if you feel the urge to scream, go for it. It adds to the realism. Ambassador Zorn, wedged uncomfortably into a reinforced pod, grumbled. I'm beginning to suspect this is less about education and more about your species' peculiar fascination with adrenaline rushes. Lana winked at him. Why, Ambassador, whatever gave you that idea? Now brace yourselves. We're about to take a little trip to the fiery heart of planet Earth.
With a theatrical flourish, she activated the simulation, the room filled with a chorus of startled yelps, screeches, and one particularly high-pitched whistle that could only have come from Crick-Crack.
Inside the virtual world, the students found themselves standing on the rocky slope of an active volcano. The ground trembled ominously beneath them, and in the distance, a plume of ash and smoke rose menacingly into the sky. Lana's voice came through their audio feeds, sounding far too cheerful for the apocalyptic scenario. Welcome to Mount Vesuvius, class. Don't worry, we're not recreating the Pompeii incident. This is just a routine day in the life of an active stratovolcano. Zixtal's virtual avatar, a perfect recreation of his insectoid form, vibrated with terror. Professor? What's that rumbling sound? As if on cue, a massive explosion rocked the virtual landscape. Lava fountained into the air, raining down around them in a terrifying display of nature's fury. Oh, that Lana's voice was casual, as if discussing the weather. Just a little pyroclastic flow. Nothing to worry about. Gloop's avatar, a wobbling mass of translucent goo, began to bubble furiously. Nothing to worry about. It's raining fire. Lana chuckled. Now, Gloop, remember, it's all virtual. Though I must say, the way you're boiling is fascinatingly accurate. I'll have to commend the programmers. As the students scrambled to avoid the virtual lava flows, Lana continued her lecture, her voice somehow cutting through the chaos. Note the viscosity of the lava. This is typical of felsic magma, high in silica content. It's what gives stratovolcanoes their distinctive cone shape. Ambassador Zorn's avatar, a craggy boulder with glowing eyes, remained stoically in place as virtual lava flowed around him. Professor Steele, I fail to see how this simulated panic is conducive to learning. But Ambassador Lana countered, there's no better way to understand the power of geological forces than to experience them firsthand, or, well, virtually firsthand. Meanwhile, Crick-Crack was living up to his name, his exoskeleton making alarming cracking noises as he curled into a tight ball. Make it stop. Make it stop. All right? Everyone, stay calm, Lana's voice cut through the pandemonium. Now, let's take a closer look at those volcanic vents I mentioned. Who's up for a little cave diving? The collective groan from the class was drowned out by another virtual explosion. As the simulation progressed, the students found themselves navigating treacherous lava tubes, collecting samples of virtual extremophile bacteria, and narrowly avoiding cave-ins, all while Lana enthusiastically pointed out geological features, as if they were on a leisurely nature hike. And here we have a magnificent display of stalactites, formed over thousands of years by the slow drip of mineral-rich water. Isn't nature wonderful? Squish, whose tentacled form was admirably adapted to the cave environment, ventured a question. Professor, how exactly does this relate to our xenobiology studies? Lana's avatar, noticeably more heat-resistant than the others, beamed at Squish. Excellent question. You see, the extremophiles we're studying here are prime examples of life adapting to seemingly impossible conditions. Understanding how they thrive in this hellish environment could be key to discovering and understanding alien life forms on other planets. As if to punctuate her point, the virtual cave rumbled ominously. Professor Gloop burbled nervously. Is the cave supposed to be doing that? Lana's avatar looked around with exaggerated nonchalance. Oh, that? Probably just some minor seismic activity. Nothing to worry about. No sooner had the words left her virtual mouth than the cave began to collapse around them. The students' screams of terror mixed with the rumble of falling rocks and the hiss of escaping steam. All right, class, Lana shouted over the chaos. Pop quiz. What's the best course of action when caught in a cave-in during a volcanic eruption? The answers range from pray to the cosmic deities to curse the day we enrolled in this class, but Lana seemed delighted by the panic-induced creativity. As virtual rocks rained down around them, Lana guided the students through emergency procedures, all while maintaining a running commentary on the geological events unfolding around them. Notice the pyroclastic flow overtaking us, fascinating mix of ash, rock, and superheated gases. Deadly, of course, but scientifically marvelous. Finally, after what seemed like hours of volcanic terror, but was in reality only about 45 minutes, Lana ended the simulation. The VR pods hissed open, releasing a group of shaken, disoriented, and in Gloop's case, slightly overheated alien students. As they stumbled out of their pods, expressions ranging from shell-shocked to mildly traumatized, Lana stood before them, beaming like a proud parent. Well, class, what did we think? Exciting stuff, right? The silence that followed was broken only by the sound of Crick-Crack's exoskeleton creaking as he slowly uncurled from his defensive ball. Ambassador Zorn was the first to find his voice. Professor Steele, I believe I speak for everyone when I say that this experience was intense. Lana's grin widened. That's the idea, Ambassador. Nothing beats hands-on learning, or in this case, narrowly avoiding fiery death learning. Zixtol's antennae were still quivering. Is the real field trip going to be like that? Oh no, Lana assured him. The class collectively sighed in relief. The real thing will be much more exciting. The relief instantly evaporated, replaced by looks of sheer terror. But before we get to that, Lana continued, oblivious to the growing panic, let's discuss what we've learned. Who can tell me about the bacteria we encountered in the lava tubes? Squish tentatively raised an appendage. They were terrifyingly resilient. Excellent observation, Squish. These extremophiles have evolved to thrive in conditions that would instantly kill most organisms. High temperatures, extreme acidity, crushing pressure, they laugh in the face of such adversity. Gloop, still steaming slightly, burbled, much like you, Professor. Lana laughed. I'll take that as a compliment, Gloop. Now, who's excited for the real thing? The silence that followed was deafening. Come on, folks. Where's your sense of adventure? Your scientific curiosity? Your burning desire to, well, burn for science? Ambassador Zorn rumbled ominously. Professor Steele, I believe I speak for the entire class when I say that our desire to combust is non-existent. Lana waved off his concern. Oh, you say that now. but just wait until you're standing at the edge of an actual lava flow, feeling the heat on your face, breathing in that sulfurous air. It's an experience you'll never forget. That's what we're afraid of, muttered Crick-Crack, his exoskeleton still making faint creaking noises. Undeterred by the lack of enthusiasm, Lana pressed on. Now, let's talk about the gear we'll be using on our field trip. I've arranged for state-of-the-art heat-resistant suits for everyone. They're custom-made to fit each of your unique physiologies. Gloop raised a gelatinous pseudopod. Even for me, Professor. Especially for you, Gloop, we've designed a special containment suit that will keep you nice and cool, even in the hottest conditions. Think of it as a portable air-conditioned aquarium. This seemed to perk up the liquid alien slightly. Oh, that doesn't sound so bad. Lana's grin widened. That's the spirit. Now, who wants to see what these suits look like? With a flourish, she activated another holographic display. The image of a bulky, silvery suit appeared, rotating slowly in the air. As you can see, these suits are equipped with multiple layers of heat-resistant materials, built-in cooling systems, and atmospheric regulators. They also have reinforced visors that can withstand extreme temperatures and pressures. Zixtol's antennae twitched nervously. It looks claustrophobic. Nonsense, Lana exclaimed. It's roomier than it looks. Plus, it comes with a built-in communication system, so we can all stay in constant contact during our expedition. Ambassador Zorn rumbled skeptically. And what, pray tell, is our evacuation plan should things go awry? Lana's eyes twinkled mischievously. Awry? In a volcanic hellscape, perished the thought ambassador. But if you must know, we'll have a high-speed shuttle on standby, capable of outrunning even the fastest pyroclastic flow. This information did little to comfort the class, who were now eyeing the exit with increasing interest. Oh, come on, Lana exclaimed, her enthusiasm undimmed. Where's your spirit of scientific inquiry, your thirst for knowledge, your desire to push the boundaries of what's possible? Squish's tentacles coiled nervously. I believe my spirit of scientific inquiry is currently cowering in fear, Professor. Lana chuckled. Well, we'll just have to coax it out then, won't we? Now, let's talk about the actual itinerary for our field trip. She pulled up another holographic display, this time showing a map of an active volcanic region. The class watched with a mixture of fascination and horror as she outlined their planned route. We'll start here, at the base of the volcano, Lana explained, pointing to a spot on the map. From there, we'll make our way up the slope, stopping at various points to collect samples and take measurements. Our main objective is to reach this area here. She indicated a spot near the volcano's summit, where we'll find the most active fumaroles and lava flows. Crick-Crack's mandibles clicked rapidly. And how close will we be getting to the actual lava? Lana's grin was positively wicked. Close enough to toast marshmallows if we were so inclined, which, incidentally, is on the itinerary for our post-expedition celebration. The class exchanged worried glances. The idea of voluntarily approaching molten rock seemed to go against every survival instinct they possessed. Now Lana continued, oblivious to their discomfort, I know some of you might be feeling a bit nervous about this trip, but I assure you, the rewards far outweigh the risks. Just think of the data we'll collect, the discoveries we might make, the papers we could publish. Ambassador Zorn shifted his rocky bulk. Professor Steele, while I admire your enthusiasm, I must once again question the wisdom of this endeavor. Surely there are safer ways to study these extremophiles. Lana's eyes gleamed with the fervor of a true scientist on the brink of discovery. Safer, perhaps. But where's the fun in that? Besides, there's no substitute for field work, Ambassador. You can't truly understand these organisms unless you see them in their natural habitat. Gloop burbled anxiously. But Professor, what if something goes wrong? What if the volcano erupts while we're there? Ah, Gloop, my gelatinous friend, that's where the real excitement begins, Lana exclaimed, her voice filled with what the class could only describe as terrifying glee. Imagine being there to witness an eruption up close. The data we could gather would be unprecedented. The class collectively shuddered at the thought. Of course, Lana added, noting their distress, we'll be taking every precaution. We'll have constant communication with volcanologists monitoring the area, and at the first sign of increased activity, we'll evacuate. Safety first, after all. Somehow, her assurances did little to comfort the students. Now, Lana said, clapping her hands together, let's talk about the equipment we'll be using to collect our samples. We have specially designed probes that can withstand extreme temperatures and acidity. They're equipped with miniature labs that can perform on-the-spot analysis of the microorganisms we find. She pulled out what looked like a high-tech walking stick. This beauty here can extend up to 10 meters, allowing us to collect samples from even the most inaccessible crevices. It's also equipped with sensors that can detect changes in temperature, pressure, and gas composition. Despite their fear, some of the students couldn't help but look impressed by the advanced technology. And for those of you worried about breathing in all that volcanic gas, Lana continued, our suits come with state-of-the-art filtration systems. They can handle everything from sulfur dioxide to hydrogen sulfide. You'll be breathing easier up there than you do in this classroom. Zixtol's antennae twitched skeptically. Somehow, I doubt that, Professor. Lana chuckled. Trust me, Zixtol. By the end of this trip, you'll be as comfortable around lava as you are around, well, whatever passes for a campfire on your home world. As the class continued to absorb the details of their upcoming volcanic adventure, a thought seemed to occur to Squish. Professor, the tentacled student began hesitantly. I've been wondering, why exactly did you choose to teach cynobiology here at the Galactic University? Surely there are plenty of opportunities for a volcano enthusiast like yourself back on Earth. Lana's eyes lit up at the question. Squish. I'm so glad you asked. You see, Earth's volcanoes are fascinating, don't get me wrong, but imagine the possibilities out there in the galaxy. Volcanoes on ice moons, underwater volcanoes on ocean worlds, maybe even volcanoes that spew exotic materials we've never even dreamed of. The potential for discovery is endless. The class watched in a mixture of awe and terror as their professor's excitement reached new heights. Plus, Lana added with a wink, I figured if I could get a bunch of alien students excited about Earth's geology, it would really spice up my research papers. Interspecies perspectives on volcanic processes has a nice ring to it, don't you think? Ambassador Zorn rumbled thoughtfully. I must admit, Professor, your passion for your subject is admirable, if somewhat terrifying. Lana beamed at him. Why, thank you, Ambassador. I've always believed that a healthy dose of terror is essential for true scientific breakthroughs. Keeps you on your toes, you know. As the class digested this rather unsettling philosophy, Lana moved on to the next topic. Now, let's talk about the actual extremophiles we'll be studying. These little guys are the true stars of our expedition. She pulled up another holographic display, this time showing microscopic images of various bizarre-looking microorganisms. The alien students leaned in despite themselves, fascinated by the strange life forms. These, Lana explained, pointing to a group of rod-shaped bacteria, are thermophilus. They thrive in temperatures that would cook most organisms alive. Some species can survive in water that's literally boiling. Gloop shuddered visibly. That's impressive, I suppose. Oh, it gets better, Lana continued, her eyes gleaming. We also have acidophiles which can survive in highly acidic environments. Some of these little fellows actually prefer to live in sulfuric acid. Crick-Crack's mandibles clicked rapidly. But why? Why would anything choose to live in such conditions? Lana's grin widened. That's the beauty of evolution, my dear Crick-Crack. These organisms have adapted to fill ecological niches that other life forms can't tolerate. It's a brilliant survival strategy, no competition. As the class pondered this, Lana moved on to the next image, and these beauties here are pisophils, also known as barophils. They love high-pressure environments. We find them in deep-sea hydrothermal vents, but some species have been discovered thriving in the cracks of volcanic rocks, withstanding both intense heat and crushing pressure. Zixtol's antennae twitched with reluctant interest. I must admit, Professor, these organisms are intriguing. But surely we could study them in a lab setting. Lana shook her head vigorously. But that's where you're wrong, Zixtol. Many of these extremophiles are incredibly difficult to culture in lab conditions. They've adapted so specifically to their extreme environments that they struggle to survive anywhere else. That's why in-situ observation is so crucial. The class exchanged glances, realizing that their hopes of a last-minute reprieve were quickly fading. Besides, Lana added with a mischievous twinkle in her eye, half the fun is in the chase. Imagine being the first to discover a new species of extremophile, thriving in conditions we thought were impossible for life. That's the kind of discovery that changes our understanding of biology itself. Despite their lingering fears, some of the students found themselves caught up in Lana's enthusiasm. There was something infectious about her passion for discovery. Now, Lana said, clapping her hands together, let's talk about the potential applications of our research. Because, believe me, this isn't just about satisfying scientific curiosity, although that's a worthy goal in itself. She pulled up yet another holographic display, this one showing various industrial and medical applications. The enzymes produced by these extremophiles have incredible potential. We're talking about proteins that can function at temperatures that would denature most organic molecules. Do you realize what that means for industrial processes, for medical treatments? The class leaned in, their curiosity piqued despite their better judgment. Imagine, Lana continued, her voice filled with excitement, medications that could survive the heat of fever, remaining stable and effective even in the most extreme conditions, or industrial catalysts that could operate in high-temperature, high-pressure environments, revolutionizing manufacturing processes. Ambassador Zorn rumbled thoughtfully. I must admit, Professor, when you put it that way, the potential benefits do seem significant. Lana beamed at him. Exactly, Ambassador. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, or should I say, the tip of the lava flow. She chuckled at her own joke, while the class groaned collectively. But wait. There's more, Lana exclaimed, sounding for all the world like an infomercial host. These extremophiles could also hold the key to understanding how life might evolve on other planets. Imagine the implications for our search for extraterrestrial life. Squish's tentacles waved excitedly. You mean these microorganisms could help us find life on other worlds? Precisely, Squish. Lana nodded enthusiastically. If life can thrive in the extreme conditions of a volcano, who's to say it couldn't adapt to the harsh environments of other planets? Understanding these extremophiles could give us valuable insights into what to look for in our search for alien life. The class buzzed with excited murmurs. Even the most reluctant students had to admit that the prospect was intriguing. Of course, Lana added with a sly grin, studying potential alien life forms is much more exciting when you have actual aliens in your class. Your perspectives will be invaluable in our research. The alien students exchanged glances, a mixture of pride and trepidation on their faces. They were beginning to realize that they were in for much more than they had bargained for when they signed up for this class. Now, Lana said, her voice taking on a more serious tone, I know this expedition sounds dangerous, and I won't lie to you. There are risks involved, but I want you all to understand that I would never put you in unnecessary danger. Every precaution has been taken to ensure your safety. She looked around the room, making eye contact with each student. We'll be working in teams, always staying in communication with each other and with our base camp. At the first sign of increased volcanic activity, we'll evacuate immediately. No sample, no matter how fascinating, is worth risking your lives. The class seemed to relax slightly at this assurance. But Lana continued, her eyes twinkling. I also want you to know that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The chance to study one of the most extreme environments on Earth, to push the boundaries of our understanding of life itself. It's not just a field trip. It's an adventure. As she spoke, something in her voice seemed to resonate with the alien students. Despite their fears, they found themselves caught up in her enthusiasm, her unwavering belief in the importance of their mission. So Lana said, looking around the room, who's ready to make history? To everyone's surprise, including their own, the alien students found themselves raising their hands or tentacles, or pseudopods in agreement. Lana's face split into a wide grin. Excellent. Then let's get prepared for the scientific adventure of a lifetime. As the class filed out of the room, chattering excitedly among themselves, Ambassador Zorn approached Lana. Professor Steele, he rumbled. I must say, your methods are unorthodox, but I cannot deny their effectiveness. You've managed to inspire a group of alien students to willingly approach an active volcano. It's quite remarkable. Oh, Lana chuckled. Why, thank you, Ambassador. I've always believed that the best way to learn is by doing, and if we happen to push the boundaries of interstellar diplomacy and scientific cooperation along the way, well, that's just a bonus. Zorn shook his head, a gesture he had picked up from his time among humans. You are a fascinating species, Professor. Reckless perhaps, but undeniably fascinating. I'll take that as a compliment, Lana grinned. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some last-minute preparations to make. Can't have our volcanic adventure falling flat, can we? As Lana bustled off, humming what sounded suspiciously like great balls of fire, Zorn watched her go with a mixture of admiration and trepidation. One thing was certain. This field trip would be one for the history books. The day of the field trip dawned bright and clear, a stark contrast to the roiling anxiety in the pit of each alien student's stomach or equivalent digestive organ. They gathered at the launch pad, each encased in their custom-designed heat-resistant suit, looking for all the world like a motley crew of space explorers about to embark on an interstellar mission. Lana strode out to meet them, her own suit gleaming in the morning sun. Good morning, class. Are we all ready for our volcanic adventure? A chorus of nervous affirmations greeted her. Gloop's containment suit bubbled anxiously, while Crick-Crack's exoskeleton made faint creaking noises as he shifted from foot to foot. Excellent, Lana beamed, either oblivious to or deliberately ignoring their apprehension. Now, remember what we discussed. Stay with your assigned teams, keep your communication channels open at all times, and most importantly, have fun. As the class boarded the shuttle that would take them to the volcano, Ambassador Zorn rumbled, "Professor Steele, I must ask one last time, are you certain this is wise?" Lana's grin was visible, even through her helmet's visor. "Ambassador, wisdom and scientific breakthrough rarely go hand in hand. But trust me, this will be an experience none of you will ever forget." The shuttle lifted off, its engines humming with barely contained power. As they approached the volcano, the alien students pressed against the windows, their fear momentarily forgotten in the face of the awe-inspiring sight before them. The volcano loomed large, a behemoth of rock and fire that seemed to touch the sky. Smoke billowed from its crater, and rivers of molten lava snaked down its slopes, glowing an angry red against the black rock. "Magnificent, isn't it?" Lana's voice crackled over the intercom. "That, my dear students, is the raw power of planetary formation at work. The same forces that shaped Earth billions of years ago are still active today, right before our eyes." The shuttle touched down at the base camp, a collection of heat-resistant structures that looked comically small against the backdrop of the towering volcano. As they disembarked, the students were immediately hit by the intense heat that penetrated even their advanced suits. "All right, Team," Lana called out, her voice filled with excitement. "Let's split into our groups and begin our ascent. Remember, stay in constant communication, and don't hesitate to call for help if you need it. Now, let's go make some scientific history." The groups set off, each led by a human volcanologist who seemed to share Lana's enthusiasm for walking into what was essentially a giant natural disaster waiting to happen. Gloop's team headed towards a series of fumaroles, while Crick-Crack's group made for a recently cooled lava flow. Zixtal found himself being led towards the base of a still-active lava fountain, his antennae twitching nervously inside his helmet. As they climbed higher up the volcano's slope, the alien students found themselves torn between terror and fascination. The landscape around them was like nothing they had ever seen, barren, rocky, and yet teeming with a strange kind of life. "Look here," Lana called out, pointing to a patch of discolored rock near a steaming vent. "See these yellow and white deposits? That's sulfur and various sulfates. And if you look closely, you can see colonies of extremophiles thriving in these extreme conditions." Despite their fear, the students couldn't help but be impressed. As they collected samples and took readings, they began to understand Lana's enthusiasm. There was something undeniably thrilling about studying life that defied all conventional wisdom about what was possible. Suddenly, a low rumble shook the ground beneath their feet. The students froze, their eyes wide with fear. Professor Gloop's anxious voice came over the comm. "Is that normal?" Lana's voice was calm, but there was an edge of excitement to it. "That, my dear students, is just the volcano reminding us that it's very much alive. Nothing to worry about yet, but let's pick up the pace, shall we? We've got a lot more to see, and not much time to see it." As they continued their ascent, the rumbling grew more frequent. Plumes of ash began to rise from the crater, and the lava flows seemed to move faster, glowing brighter. Professor Ambassador Zorn's gravelly voice cut through the growing tension. "I believe it might be prudent to consider cutting our expedition short." Before Lana could respond, a massive explosion rocked the volcano. Lava and ash shot high into the air, raining down around them in a terrifying display of nature's fury. "All right, Team." Lana's voice was filled with a mixture of disappointment and barely contained excitement. "It seems our volcanic friend has decided to spice things up a bit. Time to put our evacuation plan into action. Everyone, make your way back to the shuttle, and don't forget to collect samples as you go." The alien students didn't need to be told twice. They began to scramble down the slope, their fear giving way to a strange kind of exhilaration. They were living through an actual volcanic eruption. Assuming they survived, this would make for one hell of a story. As they ran, dodging falling debris and leaping over newly formed cracks in the ground, Lana's voice continued to offer commentary and encouragement. "Excellent form. Crick-Crack, you're practically flying down that slope. And Gloop, loving the way you're oozing around those obstacles. Zixtal, keep those antennae tucked in. We don't want them getting singed." Despite the danger, or perhaps because of it, the alien students found themselves working together in ways they never had before. Gloop used his gelatinous form to cushion the landing of a stumbling Crick-Crack. Zixtal's keen senses helped guide them through the thickening ash cloud. Even Ambassador Zorn's sturdy form came in handy, providing a stable anchor point for the others as they navigated particularly treacherous sections. As they neared the shuttle, a massive tremor shook the ground. A fissure opened up directly in their path, spewing forth a fountain of lava. "Well, isn't this exciting?" Lana's voice was filled with what could only be described as inappropriate glee. "Quick thinking time, team. How are we going to get past this little obstacle?" The students looked at each other in panic. Then, to everyone's surprise, Gloop spoke up. I think I have an idea," the gelatinous alien burbled. "If I can extend my form across the fissure, the others could use me as a bridge. My containment suit should be able to withstand the heat for a short time." There was a moment of stunned silence. Then Lana's delighted laugh came over the comm. "Brilliant, Gloop, that's the kind of creative thinking I like to see. All right, team, let's make it happen." With a courage none of them knew they possessed, the alien students put Gloop's plan into action. The gelatinous alien stretched his form across the fissure, creating a wobbling but passable bridge. One by one, the others dashed across, the heat from the lava below making their suits' cooling systems work overtime. Finally, they all made it to the shuttle. As they collapsed into their seats, exhausted but exhilarated, Lana's voice came over the intercom once more. "Congratulations, team. You've just survived your first volcanic eruption. And more importantly, you've collected data that will keep the scientific community buzzing for years to come. I'd call that a successful field trip, wouldn't you?" As the shuttle lifted off, leaving the erupting volcano behind, the alien students looked at each other in disbelief. Then, to their own surprise, they began to laugh. It was a release of tension, of fear, but also of sheer amazement at what they had just experienced. "You know," Zixtal said, his antennae still quivering slightly, "I hate to admit it, but that was kind of amazing." Crick-Crack nodded, his exoskeleton creaking as he relaxed for the first time in hours. "I never thought I'd say this, but I think I understand why humans do these crazy things now." Gloop bubbled in agreement. "It's terrifying, but also thrilling. Is this what it feels like to be a Death Worlder?" Ambassador Zorn rumbled thoughtfully. "Perhaps there is more to the human approach to science than we initially thought. Their recklessness is matched only by their ingenuity." As they chatted excitedly about their adventure, comparing notes and samples, Lana watched them with a satisfied smile. This was why she had chosen to teach at the Galactic University. Not just to study extreme environments, but to push her students to their limits, to show them that they were capable of far more than they ever imagined. When they finally landed back at the university, the alien students were surprised to find a welcoming committee waiting for them. News of their daring expedition had spread, and they were greeted as heroes. As they stepped off the shuttle, still in their heat-resistant suits and covered in volcanic ash, Lana addressed the crowd. "Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all designations, I present to you the bravest group of xenobiology students in the galaxy. They faced down an erupting volcano, collected groundbreaking data on extremophiles, and even invented a new method of crossing lava fissures. I think they've more than earned their extra credit, don't you?" The crowd erupted in cheers and applause. The alien students, still dazed from their adventure, found themselves at the center of attention, regaling their peers with tales of their volcanic escapade. As the excitement died down and the students began to disperse, still chattering about their experience, Ambassador Zorn approached Lana. "Professor Steele," he rumbled, "I must confess, I had my doubts about your methods, but having witnessed the results firsthand, I can see the value in your unconventional approach to education." Lana grinned. "Why, thank you, Ambassador. I've always believed that the best way to learn is by doing, and if that doing happens to involve a little danger and a lot of excitement, well, that's just a bonus." Zorn shook his head, a gesture he had picked up from his time among humans. "You are a remarkable species, Professor. Reckless, perhaps, but undeniably effective." "I'll take that as a compliment," Lana chuckled. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to start planning our next field trip. I hear there's a fascinating underwater volcano off the coast of Hawaii that's just begging to be studied." As Lana walked away, already lost in plans for her next death-defying scientific adventure, Ambassador Zorn watched her go with a mixture of admiration and trepidation. One thing was certain: life at the Galactic University would never be the same again. And as for the alien students, They had learned more than just the basics of extremophile biology. They had discovered their own resilience, their capacity for bravery in the face of the unknown. They had experienced firsthand the human drive for discovery, the thrill of pushing boundaries and expanding the limits of knowledge. As they headed off to celebrate their survival and success, there was a new spring in their step, a glint of adventure in their eyes. They had gone into that volcano as ordinary students and had emerged as something more, explorers, adventurers, scientists willing to go to extremes in pursuit of knowledge. The volcano had changed them, just as Lana had known it would. And somewhere deep inside each of them, a small spark had been ignited, a very human spark of curiosity, of daring, of the desire to probe the unknown no matter the risks. As the sun set on the Galactic University, casting long shadows across the campus, one thing was clear. This was just the beginning of their adventures, with Professor Lana Steele leading the way, who knew what death-defying, groundbreaking, utterly insane scientific expeditions lay in their future. One thing was certain, it was going to be one hell of a semester.